Arsène Lupin, Gentleman Burglar, Episode 4, The 7 Billion Ruble Affair. Welcome back, detective. We've seen Lupin steal from French aristocrats, escape from prisons, and turn security systems into jokes. But today's case will reveal something new about our gentleman burglar. What happens when international politics, espionage, and a conspiracy spanning 3 countries collide with his criminal genius? Are you ready to enter the shadowy world where theft becomes diplomacy and jewels hold the fate of nations? Picture this: April 1906, Paris. The Russian embassy hosts a glittering ball celebrating the Tsar's birthday. Among the guests is Countess Valeska Olsafiev, a stunning Russian noblewoman wearing the legendary Sancy Diamond, a 55-carat stone worth 7 billion rubles, roughly equivalent to France's entire annual budget. The diamond has a dark history. Every previous owner met a mysterious, violent end. Some call it cursed. Others call it priceless. I'm attending the ball as a guest when something extraordinary happens. During the waltz, the Countess suddenly clutches her throat. The diamond's clasp has broken. The stone falls, bouncing across the polished floor toward the terrace doors. Dozens of guests watch in horror as it rolls outside into the darkness. Everyone rushes to search. But here's what troubles me. The clasp didn't break accidentally. I saw it clearly. Someone bumped into the Countess during the dance, and their collision was too deliberate, too calculated. What kind of thief steals a diamond by making it fall and roll away? How would they retrieve it in a crowd of witnesses? After 20 minutes of frantic searching by guests, guards, and servants, the diamond is nowhere to be found. The Russian ambassador nearly faints with panic. That stone belongs to the Tsar himself. Its loss will create an international incident. Someone fetch the police immediately. But think about this, detective, with hundreds of people watching. How could anyone have taken it? Inspector Ganimard arrives within the hour, still obsessed with redeeming himself after the chateau humiliation. He questions everyone, searches every guest, examines every inch of the terrace and gardens. Nothing. The diamond has vanished as completely as if it never existed. This has Lupin written all over it, Ganimard mutters darkly. Only he could make something disappear in front of hundreds of witnesses. But here's where the case takes an unexpected turn. The next morning, the Countess receives a private letter. Dear Countess, I have recovered your missing diamond. However, before I return it, we must discuss certain matters regarding its previous owner and how it came into your possession. I will call upon you this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Please be alone. Arsène Lupin. The Countess shows me this letter in desperation. I've become something of an unofficial consultant on Lupin cases. What does he mean about its previous owner? She asks, her beautiful face troubled. I inherited this diamond legally from my late husband. But notice how her hands tremble as she speaks. What is she afraid Lupin knows? At precisely 3 o'clock, a distinguished elderly gentleman arrives at the Countess's residence, introducing himself as the legal representative of Monsieur Lupin, except when we're alone in her salon. The elderly gentleman removes his disguise to reveal Lupin himself, looking infuriatingly confident. Countess, he begins without preamble, let me tell you a story about your diamond. 10 years ago, it belonged to the Duke of Charmeris, a French nobleman who was found murdered in his locked study. The diamond was never recovered. The case remains unsolved. Until now. The Countess's face goes pale. What connection could she have to a decade-old murder? Lupin continues, pacing like a professor delivering a lecture. Your late husband, Count Olsafiev, was the Duke's business partner. They had a falling out over money, specifically, money the Duke owed your husband. The Duke refused to pay, claiming the debts were invalid. And then, conveniently, the Duke died, and his famous diamond disappeared. That's preposterous. The Countess protests, but her voice lacks conviction. My husband was a nobleman, not a murderer. Lupin smiles gently. I don't believe your husband killed the Duke, but I do believe he knew who did, and that person gave him the diamond as payment for his silence. Your inheritance, Countess, is built on blood and blackmail. Think about this revelation, detective. If Lupin has evidence of how the Countess's family acquired the diamond, what leverage does that give him? And more importantly, why would he care about a 10-year-old murder? What's his real objective here? The Countess collapses into a chair, tears streaming down her face. I knew nothing about this. My husband died 3 years ago. He told me the diamond was a legitimate inheritance from a distant relative. I wore it because the Tsar himself requested I display it at the embassy ball. It's a symbol of Russian nobility. What do you want from me? Lupin's expression becomes serious. What I want, Countess, is justice. Not the legal kind that ship sailed a decade ago, but a different sort of justice. I want you to tell me who murdered the Duke of Charmaris. Your husband kept documents, didn't he? Evidence of the conspiracy. I want those documents, and in exchange, you'll have your diamond back, and I'll ensure your reputation remains untarnished. But I don't have any documents. The Countess cries desperately. If they existed, my husband never showed them to me. Lupin studies her intently, and I can see him evaluating whether she's lying. Finally, he nods. I believe you. Which means someone else has them. Someone who knew your husband's secrets. Someone who benefits from keeping you ignorant and vulnerable. This is where your detective instincts become crucial. Who would possess evidence of a conspiracy but keep it hidden? Who benefits from the Countess remaining ignorant? Think about who's been involved in this case from the beginning. Over the next week, Lupin begins investigating the Countess's household and associates. He discovers something remarkable. The current Russian ambassador, Count Chernov, was also present when the Duke of Charmaris was murdered 10 years ago. In fact, Chernov was the Duke's secretary at the time, the last person to see him alive. The ambassador, I'm shocked when Lupin shares this discovery. But he's a respected diplomat, a man of impeccable reputation. Lupin's laugh is bitter. My dear friend, reputation is exactly what men kill to protect. Let me tell you what really happened 10 years ago, according to documents. Lupin acquires through means he refuses to specify. The Duke of Charmaris discovered that his secretary Chernov was selling French military secrets to Russia. The Duke threatened to expose him unless he resigned immediately. But Chernov couldn't afford exposure. He'd just been promoted within Russian intelligence based on the stolen secrets. So Chernov murdered the Duke, Lupin explains. Made it look like a locked room mystery, and stole the Sancy Diamond to make it appear as a robbery. He gave the diamond to Count Olsafif, who'd helped him cover up the crime, as payment for silence. Years later, when Olsafif died, Chernov worried the Countess might discover the truth in her husband's papers. But why not just steal the documents? I ask. Lupin smiles grimly, because he didn't know where they were. Olsafif hid them somewhere before he died, and Chernov has been searching ever since. When the Tsar ordered the Countess to wear the diamond at the embassy ball, Chernov saw an opportunity. Stage a theft, retrieve the diamond, and use it as leverage to force the Countess to reveal where her husband hid the evidence. So the diamond's disappearance wasn't Lupin's doing at all, it was Chernov's. The ambassador bumped into the Countess, broke the clasp, then used diplomatic pouches to remove the diamond from the embassy grounds, while everyone searched the gardens. He planned to approach the Countess later, offering to recover it in exchange for the documents. But you intervened, I realize. You actually took the diamond before Chernov could retrieve it from wherever he hid it. Lupin's grin is absolutely triumphant. Exactly. I saw him palm it during the confusion on the terrace. A simple pickpocket maneuver while he pretended to help search. I simply pickpocketed the pickpocket later that evening. He doesn't even realize it's gone yet. He thinks it's still in his safe. Now comes Lupin's brilliant endgame. He arranges a private meeting at the Russian embassy with himself, the Countess, and Ambassador Chernov. When we arrive, Chernov is all diplomatic courtesy until Lupin places the Sancy Diamond on the desk between them. How did you? Chernov's face goes white. My safe is unopenable. Lupin shrugs. No safe is unopenable to someone who understands mechanics. Now, Ambassador, shall we discuss the Duke of Charmeris? Or shall I simply deliver my evidence to French authorities and let international diplomacy sort out the espionage and murder charges? Chernov deflates like a punctured balloon. He confesses everything: the spying, the murder, the conspiracy with Count Olsafif, the attempted manipulation of the Countess. What do you want? He asks bitterly. Money, the diamond, diplomatic immunity. Lupin's answer surprises everyone. I want 3 things. First, you will write a full confession and place it in a sealed envelope with your lawyer, to be opened if anything unfortunate happens to the Countess. Second, you will resign your position and return to Russia within a month, citing health reasons. Third, the Sancy Diamond will be returned to the Countess, who will immediately donate it to the Louvre Museum as a gift from Russia, where it can cause no more deaths. And what do you get from this arrangement? Chernov asks suspiciously. Lupin smiles. The satisfaction of knowing a murderer has been stopped and an innocent woman protected. Also, I'm keeping a few minor items from your embassy safe as compensation for my time. Nothing important, just some jeweled medals, diplomatic correspondence, and possibly a Fabergé egg or 2. The ambassador has no choice but to agree. Within a month, everything happens exactly as Lupin dictated. Chernov resigns amid mysterious health concerns. The Countess donates the cursed diamond to the Louvre in a ceremony that enhances her reputation enormously, and the confession remains sealed with lawyers, ensuring her safety. So tell me, detective, at what point did you suspect the ambassador? Did you catch the significance of his presence at both the original murder and the embassy ball? And most importantly, what does this case reveal about Lupin's true nature? Is he a thief who occasionally does good, or something more complex? The Countess sends Lupin a thank you note that he shows me with evident pride. You saved my life and reputation while asking nothing for yourself. You are not the villain the newspapers describe. You are something far more dangerous, a man with principles who operates outside society's rules. I fear you, admire you, and thank you in equal measure. This case reveals a crucial truth about Arsène Lupin. Yes, he steals, but he follows his own code of honor. He targets the guilty, protects the innocent, and ensures justice when legal systems fail. He's not just a criminal, he's what happens when someone with genius-level intellect decides that society's rules don't adequately serve justice. Join me next time for The Vanishing Act, where Lupin attempts the impossible. Stealing an item from a room full of witnesses in broad daylight, leaving no trace of how he did it. Can even the laws of physics contain Arsène Lupin's audacity?